Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks everybody for joining our call today. I know at the beginning of the year there's a lot of projects, a lot of new things going on, and I'm sure everybody's busy, so I thank you for blocking out some time to take a look at our solution and our tools, which I want to demonstrate today. So in this meeting, what I want to talk about is how you can build a SharePoint Help Desk System entirely without using code or without having to write custom workflow or anything like that, entirely from the SharePoint user interface. So what I've done is I've built an example, and in just a minute I'm going to go through. First of all, I'm just going to show you how my example solution works, and then what I'd like to do is spend some more time focusing on how the solution is built using SharePoint tools and Infowise Ultimate Forms. So before I get started, just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Will Cooper, and I live in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I act as a training coordinator, and I like to work with Infowise customers, and also I'm a developer. I like to work on solutions, and my background is in Microsoft web development. I've spent a couple of years developing with the Infowise toolset. Really love the product, and I've had a lot of success developing a variety of SharePoint solutions for customers using these tools. So I really like this tool set, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share with you what makes it so useful and versatile in building solutions. So the first thing I want to do is just talk a little bit about what I've built. I'm going to just kind of walk through some of the functionality that I've put together, and then we can spend some time talking about how that's built and how you use the settings in the SharePoint interface to accomplish that. So what I've got here is just a dashboard screen that I've made, and I've called my example tool Help Desk Manager. And what I'm going to do is start out just by creating a new ticket. We'll talk about some of the features in my example solution, and then later how that would work. So as with any system, when you're first creating a ticket, of course you don't want to ask the user every field and all of the details. So one thing that we have here is a very simple user-facing form, which is just going to ask them only what we need at that time. So on this add form, I just need to pick a category. And then for the request, I just put a short description of what I need. Okay, and then what the user can also do is attach files. Now normally you might do that in the user interface. I'm doing something where it actually shows in line, so I can attach screenshots, for example. That's something you might want to require users to do when they're submitting a help ticket. So I can just do that in line, and it shows me a list view in my form. Oh, it's mad at me because I uploaded this before. Let me skip by that one, and then they just put in their own name. I'll choose another file to attach. Let's see. Okay, so it's loading that file, and in just a second it'll give me a prompt for the name. And that'll load it into SharePoint in an associated document library for our tool. Okay, so once I do that, I just need to hit save, and this is going to trigger an ID to be automatically assigned. That's handled by Infowise, and then the newest ticket's automatically going to show on top. By default, that's going to be created with a new status, and then we can see on the screen we have some other things such as the priority, the age, indicating how old this would be, those type of things. So in this system, there's some features that we want to accommodate for. So we want this to be automated as much as possible. We'd like to trigger email alerts on this system. We'd like to have dashboards. We want to watch for stalled tickets and that type of thing, and accommodate in a user-friendly fashion for file attachments, and then have views, tabbed interface, and also security grouping on field. So there's a lot of things we're kind of trying to accomplish at once, and what I'm going to do is show a little bit about how we can accomplish some of those things. Another thing that we want in here is some tracking. We'd like to see progress as these tickets are being worked on, and users are making updates, especially the developer. We want to see that. So when I go into the edit form, you notice that things look a little bit different. We've got additional tabs. So I've got a section for updates. So on this tab, this is where we could assign, say, a developer who'd be working on the issue, as well as their manager. In particular, this would be useful for those email alerts. We can use those fields and assign those on there. So in my system, I have 5 possible values for the status. So when it starts, it's new, and then it can be moved to in progress, on hold, canceled, or complete. But you can set whatever values you want, and then we can have a priority. This could be set by developer. Then every time this is update, we have an automatic log which would track and show these updates as they happen. So as a manager, as a user, at any time, I can go and look at a history tab in my system, and I can see, what is the last updates that's happened. So a great way to track progress, see the history of things as they change instead of just seeing one snapshot in time. So at this point, what I want to do is highlight some of the tools that I used in order to build this system. So this is all very well integrated into the SharePoint interface. One thing that's really awesome is the fact that you can use these tools in an on-premise SharePoint installation or in Office 365. And all these features are included in both situations, use the same techniques, the same process to build solutions. So it's nice to be able to employ this set in both scenarios. So your first step is to create a custom list, and the first thing you're going to do is go ahead and create all the fields that you need. And once you have the Infowise Ultimate Forms installed, you just go to this puzzle piece icon, so it really stands out on the dashboard. If you go to that design, this acts as a hub for those Infowise settings. And also there's some really good links and reference points for you, and it's a reminder of the process that you're going to go through as you're building a solution. So you notice in the upper right, it talks about how you're going to build that custom form. So that applies for look and feel, setting up fields, that type of thing. But also talks about functionality and that type of thing. So these steps kind of help you understand the process. And below that, you see a lot of great links, reference points that really kind of give you the nitty-gritty in terms of the specific settings and how to take advantage of all these tools that are included in here. So these link to videos and step-by-step instructions which explain and give you examples of how to set these up. So that's all right here in your hub that you're going to go to. So I mentioned that the columns are what you're going to set up first. So basically you just go about the regular process that you would when you create a SharePoint list. The thing that's different is that with Infowise you're going to have some options to create color choice fields with icons and visual indicators that are going to make that dashboard jump out, make things a lot more visually appealing than just plain text. So once you've created those fields, you can map them to tabs. Setting up tabs is really easy. You just go into the first section and you can just simply type a name for a tab, and all you have to do is click add. So you can really pretty much define whatever tabs you want, and then what you do is pick the fields that you want for the tab. So you can see my request tab is the first. I have 3 tabs, and all I need to do is go to a drop-down list, and I just click on the fields that I want to show on that tab, and I click this double arrow, and it'll show on the right. And then once it's there, I can reorder. I can just change that number and reorder that however I need to. So really flexible, easy to adjust. So one thing that's really nice with Infowise is the initial setup and the basic settings are really intuitive and easy to do, but there's also a lot of depth to the product. You can really build complexity if you need it. So you can start out with a basic system and then incrementally customize and make something more sophisticated if you want to. So you can see there's permissions. For example, I may want to control certain sections. I showed you I didn't really want to show updates or history when we're just adding a ticket. I don't need that. So for that particular tab, I've got it set up to be hidden for all users on the new form, and then we want to go ahead and show that when we're doing an edit of the ticket. So that shows you how you can have some control on that. And then there's some other settings you can do in the tabs. I don't want to get into this, but you have adjustments for look and feel. You can change the font, change some things that kind of give you a variety in the appearance. So normally with SharePoint, you just kind of have to take what's out of the box unless you do some sophisticated stuff with style sheets and things like that. But of course, we don't want to get into that complexity. This just gives you some drop-down options which you can change and experiment with. So that's how you do the tab configuration. That's how you see that tabbed interface, which is a key part of the Infowise forms. So after that, what you would want to do is get into more granular permissions. So with the help desk system, typically you've got maybe a few different kind of users. You've got just the general user, pretty much anyone who needs to go in and create a ticket. But then you've got maybe developers or help desk managers, something like that, and they've got some fields and they need to be able to provide updates. So it's pretty likely that you're going to want to have some control as far as which users can update fields. So you can do that with the advanced column permissions. It's very intuitive. Basically, you just need to pick whichever field you're wanting to control, and you basically have 3 forms and 3 levels of permissions. So this is really just standard SharePoint functionality. You've got an add form, an edit form, and a display form. And then for the permissions, you're either going to want it to hide it, make it readable where they can't edit, or you can do write, which would be where they can access that. So you'd be able to use those settings, and then additionally you can come in and select a SharePoint security group. So that's really the key here. If you're building a help desk system, you can make a group of your developers or help desk manager, put them into that security group, and then you can lock down that field and make sure that only those users can see it. So you can see some of the permissions that I set up. I've got a request ID field that's auto-generated by the system. So I just want users to be able to see that. I don't want them to be able to change the value of the field. And then the history functionality you saw, this is a field the system is updating. I have an action which I'll show you in a second, and basically that's just doing some logging for me. Every time that ticket gets updated, I want it to write into that history so that we can see a trail of everything that happens with that ticket. The priority is something we want just for the developers to be able to update. We don't want the user who submits the ticket to say this is a critical priority. In this situation, that's not their call to make. So this finite level of control, this plays to a key aspect of our overall topic. What I'm wanting you to be able to take away from this is that unlike an off-the-shelf help desk system, which kind of has everything pre-baked and may have a lot of features, but it may not necessarily match your requirements. When you're building with this tool set, you have a great deal of flexibility, and inevitably you're going to have very specific requirements and controls in terms of how you want users to be able to interact with the system, and this tool set gives you the flexibility to meet those very specific requirements. Email alerts certainly are going to be a significant part of a help desk tracking system. So normally with SharePoint you get kind of a plain vanilla alert functionality. You can generate updates based on items being created, that type of thing. But it really doesn't provide the flexibility for you to accommodate for different conditions, that type of thing. So with Infowise, there is a very robust email alert system. Everybody typically has a very flooded inbox, and you really want to do the best job you can to make that email stand out. So one way that you're able to do that with Infowise, you have a email template system, and it gives you a nice visual editor tool, and it lets you make updates and put things in color text, possibly even use images, that type of thing. And really that helps those emails to stand out from other typical emails, which would be just plain text. So in our case, I've already generated a template. So this is kind of your starting point. The email template dictates what is going to be in the content of the email. Really easy to set this up. All of the columns that you've defined in your list are going to show on the right-hand column. And so all you need to do is highlight the column you want and then click on either add to subject or add to body. You can kind of see a pattern to it. There's a square bracket that surrounds that. And what it will do is insert that dynamic value either into the subject line or the body, however you need. And I can do things like change the color or background color if I want, that type of thing. So lots of flexibility. You can really spend the time to polish those email templates and that type of thing. So that's what we first want to do. We want to define some templates as far as the content of the email, and then after we've done that, we're going to come back and actually do our trigger. We're going to decide at what point does the email template come out. So I'm going to demonstrate a little bit of that, but for help desk system, the typical kind of things would be when the ticket first gets entered into the system. We'd like to have an email if something is stalled. It's likely that something may kind of fall through the cracks, and we want to remind people that they need to make an update. Certainly when the ticket gets closed or canceled, pretty much whenever that status is going to change, we really want to alert users. There's a balance to this. When I'm working on tools like this, sometimes people have a more is better attitude, but in actuality, it can be a very bad thing if your tool is generating too many emails, because it kind of turns into the boy who cried wolf. We just don't want to flood users with emails, otherwise it's just going to be ignored. So just a thing to think about, and that's where the settings come into play. So let me show you how you set up these settings real quick. So I'm going to show you just this basic update that I have right here. So when I go in here, I just work my way through the section. So usually what you want to do is use the name of the tool for the name of your alert, and then you give it a description. So this is just an alert for when the ticket gets updated. So by default, it's going to show your site and list because you've come from that. It automatically knows. And then just like in the other screen we're looking at, we can differentiate between whether this is a new ad, an update, a delete, etc. Typically you're going to send these right away, but then I can also do special conditions. So I just mentioned to you, I may want to do it only when the status is a particular thing. For example, when the ticket's complete, I'd like a ticket or an email template which is just about that the ticket is being closed out, that type of thing. So you can be really specific instead of just sending a generic update with every update. So when the conditions are met, that's going to go out right away. The recipients, this can be defined dynamically. So you can explicitly put in a name, as I did in this case. But if you recall, we have the person who it's assigned to, and then we also have an assigned to manager. That dynamic aspect comes in handy. So those fields we define for kind of the agents for this ticket become really handy for the email updates. So you can do a CC or even a blind copy if you need to. One thing I'll show you real quick, I'll just go ahead and create an alert. So I'm going to close that, and I'll do a new one. I want to track tickets when they're stalled. If you recall on the previous screen, I have an age variable, and the purpose of that is to track the difference between the current day and the day the ticket was created. What we're looking for is old tickets, or ones that haven't been closed out, and it's been several days that have gone by. So to create that kind of alert, I'm just going to come in from my list. Once again, I just click on the alerts, and this list is called help request. So I'm going to call this stalled alert. And just for our demo purposes, I'll make it go to myself, but you know that you can use whichever people you need. And I'm going to have special conditions. So I want my conditions checked every time this item is modified, but also I can do it according to a date, and I can do it on a recurring basis. So with the date, I can do, every week, after the created date. Okay, so that's what we're keying off of. And then I can have it continue to do that for me. So I could say, keep making that check for me. I want to keep checking for that stalled ticket. So each additional week, keep going. And what I'm looking for is I've set up an age field. So to me, this is an important aspect of a help desk system. We're trying to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks. If something's not being handled or taken care of, we want to know about it. Our goal is to get those tickets closed out and resolve it in one way or another. So what I'm looking for is an age always greater or equals, we'll say 14. So if it's more than 2 weeks and that ticket hasn't been closed out, I want to know about this. This could be something the help desk manager wants. They want to know when these tickets aren't getting handled. So that would go out right away. And then all I have to do is map a template. You can see that you can choose. You may have a different email template depending on different conditions. Normally you're going to pick from the same thing. So I would probably create my own email template for this, but that's how those settings are applied. So that's all that I would need to do. I could just click on that add button and define a condition. So depending how granular you want to get, you can go through that process and create several different kinds of alert to different users. The message you send to the user could be a lot different than the help desk manager, the developer, but you have the ability to control that. A major aspect of this tool set, which I like, is the actions. And this is, for the most part, can allow you to replace anything that you might have done, say, in Workflow Designer. You can define a number of different types of actions and set conditions on those to trigger updates to fields, do a number of things. So I think, here I'm going to do a new one because I want to show you guys show you all the different options that are there. But I'll show you how the ones that I have in there at the moment work too. Okay, so those are examples. Usually things that are granular level. Update list items is probably the most common one that I use, but sometimes you may even want to create records, make copies of things, but it can scale to a large level as well. You might want to even trigger creating a site, a list in some cases. So there's quite a large variety of things. You can really take a lot of actions that you might normally have done explicitly. You can essentially automate that through these actions. Usually you're having system updates, but you also have the ability to make your own custom action, which shows as a button to the user on the toolbar. So you can control that in these settings. And then in the action settings, you control what you want to happen. So you saw that history logging. So that's a cool feature which really only took a few settings, and that's something I really want to emphasize. I had to do very little to orchestrate that functionality in the system, and now that it's there, nobody has to do anything. It just happens automatically. So to do that, I just created a rich text field, which I had set to read only using the permissions, and I've made it so that on every new record and every edit, it's going to update that history field, and what it's going to do is prepend this information about the fields. So you see those square brackets. I've added some highlighting to make the status stand out, but this field information, every time a ticket gets updated, it's going to add a stamp and prepend it into the history field. So you get those nice stacked boxes automatically. And then I have to set a condition. This just tells it to perform that on the current ticket. So that's all that I had to do to create that type of functionality. It's going to be handled on its own. This will execute every single time any of those tickets gets updated. I also needed something to look for those lagging tickets, that current date. So in order to do that, I just created a field for tracking that. So I made a field called current date, and I have something in here where the system's just going to go ahead and every day automatically update that. So this is kind of a SharePoint challenge. SharePoint's not always self-aware of the current date, at least not in a stored field value. So this is what gives you the ability to do a calculated field to compare the created date and the current day. And then that gives you that result of age, which tells us how many days this ticket has been out there. So quite a lot you can do with actions. I just have a couple in my basic example, but you can use this to automate. Again, this in some ways you can think of as a replacement for things you might otherwise do in workflow. The item ID is really simple to set up. I just create a simple text field, and I called it REQ ID, request ID, and then you put whatever you want that pattern to be. So in my case, I put an upper REQ dash and the number, but you can do whatever you want. That just gives you a reference points for those tickets as they come in. And if you recall, I set that to read only, and the system's handling that for me. So automation, is a key part of the system. Anything we can get it to do automatically, we definitely want to do that. One thing with a ticket tracking system that could be really handy, you may want users to be able to send an email to generate that ticket automatically. And you may certainly do that. Infowise has a functionality where you can configure against your email server, and automatically using that profile, you can retrieve those email messages and you can make those right into the fields and create your tickets. In fact, Infowise even uses its own homegrown system that does that. So if you're looking at some of this process, if you want some information about that after our meeting, we can certainly provide that to you, but that may be a requirement for a system you're building, and that's absolutely fairly straightforward to set up using the Infowise functionality. The color choice field, this is really handy. You really want to break up your interface in terms of having icons and making things look visually appealing. So I'm just going to go into my list settings real quick, and I'll show you, how I set that up. So I kind of have a main dashboard screen. I also want to show you before I forget, analytics and charting are a really nice aspect to this. So anything you can do to make this visually appealing. Generally, people don't get really excited about help desk tickets, but if you can do things to offer tracking and visual appeal, users like that, managers like that, just gives you a quick status update. So right here I've got a summary of the amount of tickets by category and by status. So that is part of the Infowise Ultimate Forms Suite. You have a charting component, so that would be something you want to consider when you're building a help desk solution in SharePoint. Okay, so what I wanted to show is going into the list settings. Normally you go through that design wizard, but you may also access Infowise settings from the regular list settings screen as well. You can see in the middle column all those Infowise settings show up there. So it's just an alternative way to access those settings and values. So for example, our category, it says Infowise color choice. You can see how I set that up. So what you've got is a little tool that lets you pick what you want for those icons. So these are what the icons look like. You have a selection. We actually just added a whole bunch to this. So right here you see 50, and we just expanded this to 250. So there's actually 5 tabs of different icons. So you've got a huge selection to choose from, but you also have the ability to add your own. Whatever you like to use for status icons, if you have another system and you want to pull in some of those icons, it would be easy to do that. Or you can just use color coding. That's another approach you can do that. You can make the row highlighted or the field, or use icons. I happen to really like those icons. I feel like they stand out. I mentioned earlier the security group settings. This can apply in different situations, but especially with the help desk system, I think that's really important. So probably you want to lock down that second tab. That would be a likely thing that you want to do. So that's most of the things I wanted to demonstrate today. This product is really easy to try out, whether you're going to take a look at this in Office 365 or for on-premise. There are demo options. You can go into the Infowise site and get that. I definitely encourage you to get your hands dirty and try some of this out. Also, in our Infowise site, if you click on the training heading, you'll notice a lot of videos which have screen captures, and very much like our demo today. I actually go into a lot more detail, just focusing on applying settings for a specific feature. So that's something you can take a look at. So this system that I set up was something built, just at a very basic level and very quickly. But you could start with a foundation like this and really customize it and apply quite a variety of settings. So I'm hoping, as you guys kind of take a step back and think about how this may fit into your overall SharePoint strategy, I'm hoping you'll see the flexibility. I know I've been in situations where I can't get a tool to do exactly what I want. I get kind of trapped in the corner. With this tool set, you really do have the ability to hit on all your custom requirements. And furthermore, if you're using this tool set, the possibilities of building other solutions outside of this are great. You may find that you're using this for a variety of solutions. So we have some videos of other demos we've done, example solutions that we've built with this. So it's really a great tool set. So thanks a lot. I don't want to keep anybody too long. If you have additional questions, please do stay on the meeting. I'll keep it going for a while, even when I stop sharing my screen. And you can put questions into the chat and we'll help you out. But thank you very much for your time today. And also next month we'll be doing another demo. We typically are doing these about once a month. So if you want to jump onto that and learn some more about Infowise, please feel free. And thank you very much. I appreciate your time.